Hello, this is Beverly Nickerson. It's September 21st, 2000,
Yeah, that's right.
2006. And I want to go back to the beginning. My mother was born in Boston, Massachusetts. And I want to introduce her, Winifred Brown. She was born Winifred M. Price. And she was born in Boston, Massachusetts. Back in do you remember?
Who?
What year you were born?
Oh, sure.
Do you mind saying?
No, 1926.
Okay.
January 1st. Everybody celebrated my birthday.
Right.
My mother was looking out the window at the church across on Tremont Street, the St. Cyprian's Church, and she got a pain, and that was me.
Oh, okay.
And so she had to go back with the midwife, and her name was Ida. Like my mother's was Ida, but hers was the woman who helped her, because I was the surprise in my family. I was the fifth one.
Ah, you were the fifth
I
of
was
five.
the fifth of five, and poor little mama didn't plan on it, but anyway.
Now, where was Mama from?
She was from Port Maria, Jamaica.
Oh.
Port Maria.
And
Jamaica.
when did she come here?
Oh, they sailed up, her and her sisters sailed up. They didn't cry because she had never been on a plane.
Oh, okay.
So they sailed up here, and then she fell in love. Well, they liked Boston and got to know different people. And she met
Your father?
my father.
And what was your father's name?
Winfield Scott Price.
Oh, so you were
And
named after him.
Yep, and I was the last.
Mm-hmm.
The surprise,
Winifred.
okay, because we had a George, poor George, he was the one in the middle.
Just one boy.
One boy, and he
four
was
girls.
named after my father's brother,
So tell me
George.
about your father. Where was he from?
He was from Alabama, and you know, they were very prejudiced there. He was part Indian, he was an Indian.
What type of Indian?
He was
We say
from,
Native Americans today.
Oh, of course you do. You say a lot of different things today. But he was from, what part of Alabama? Anyway, his father was Cherokee.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And
His
he
father was full-blooded
full-
Cherokee.
full-
And what was his mother, do you know?
She was Indian and what can I call it? We were colored black.
Well,
Yeah.
Back then it was colored, now
Yeah.
it's black.
That's right. And she had been part slave. She was part slave.
Yeah, I heard she was
Yeah.
a slave till she was 11 years old.
Yeah, I think so, because my oldest sister was the one that was teaching her to read.
Oh, because they didn't allow them to read back
No,
then.
not then, yeah.
Oh.
And it's amazing how my father was so bright, so smart. And I mean, he went far in, you know, his education and everything. And so when they got to Boston, when he moved up here, and my oldest sister, he brought his mother up here. And then she was teaching her how to read.
Mm-hmm.
And they lived next door. And everybody else had to go next door. And
Now, did you live in Boston, or was
Right.
it called Roxbury back then?
no, where I lived was Boston, right in the center, right near Ruggles Street,
Mm-hmm.
you know, right near Ruggles Street. And as I said, it was the St. Cyprian's Church is still there, and it was there before I was born. Yeah, and that's still there. Yeah, but anyway, my father's father was what they said was a Cherokee. He was a runaway, so we jokingly said, he was running away from his wife.
wife.
Yeah, of course that was terrible.
Right.
But you know, it said, yeah, he was running away from. But,
Oh, so he was a slave also?
no.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
No. And the father was not. He was never a slave. No, he was a free, Indian actually. But they just said that.
Oh, okay.
Jokingly. No, but
So now
then it came up.
your father, did he go to college, or?
That's a good question. I mean, because when he came up here, he used to read all the time, and you better not touch his paper if he had a paper until he finished reading it. And he got all kinds of knowledge. When all I know is I don't ever remember being poor. You know what you call poor,
Right.
and stuff. So he used to go up. There was when they first started the colored people going into the post office and stuff like that. He's always had a big job, and he would.
So working in the post office was considered a big job back
Oh
then.
yeah.
This was in 1920s or 30s?
Yeah, must have been 20s,
20s.
yeah.
Okay.
And he was, because I was the youngest of them, you know.
So you were the youngest of,
I was
okay.
young. And so he used to go up to the store up on Washington Street, and this woman always used to ask him. He would go up there and buy all this food and stuff, you know. And so the woman said, "Oh, do you have a restaurant or something?" He said, "No, I'm buying for my family." Oh yeah, and then we used to sit down to the table with tablecloths and stuff and all that stuff. So to make a long story short, the man who bought were friends, Mr. McCrae, who happened to be Carmen McCrae's. You've heard of Carmen McCrae's uncle. And so and Mr. Otis, there were 4 of them that worked together at the post office, and they didn't just do
Sorting the mail.
sorting them. No, they did sort the mail. This was the beginning of sorting the mail. No, they didn't drag in bags and stuff like that. So to make us the long story short, they were considered like doctors and lawyers. Oh yeah.
There weren't many blacks that could get those kind of jobs back
nobody
then.
had it. And then my father, right by off of Columbus Avenue, when the man who was in charge of the post office went away, my father took over. He ran the whole doggone post office, you see, and stuff. So, well, in those days it was a
good job.
Good job. And he told that woman, no, he was buying for his family. So it was, and when they brought his mother up here, she had another house right next door to where I was born, when I was born. And next to her was another little small house, which was Mrs. Simon. She was Irish. I mean, we were all mixed up then, you know what I mean, people. And so she was Irish, and we used to feel sorry for her niece, Mary, who she used to use as sort of like a slave. She used to have to do everything, walk, clean and everything. Well, outside, like in the back of the yard where they had my grandmother's on the other side, and she's Mrs. Seymour on the other side. So it just shows you the society in that day or whatever. They both would be growing greens and stuff, and they would say, "No, get that one, and stuff like that. So they were friendly. Mrs. Seymour, who had her niece there taking care of her, and my grandmother, who was learning to read and all that stuff. Yeah, poor thing. Yeah, so they, and of course they had to, nobody particularly liked it, but I was too young anyway, but they had to go and empty the slop, because they didn't have a toilet. We had a toilet, but they didn't have a toilet. Miss Seymour, the white one, and the black one, yeah, they didn't have a toilet.
Okay.
So I'm just like,
Right.
when I was coming, that's how it was, yeah.
So let's move on to the next
Wherever.
era,
Whatever.
when you first got married, when you were 17.
Oh, when I was 16.
16.
I guess I was 17, yeah. But I was shocked, and Walter was, well, anyway, he waited a long time.
Where was Walter from?
He's from Boston. He was from Boston, but
What's his heritage? Is he?
all mixed up.
Right.
Mostly, well, some
What
of
was Nana Brown?
Nana Brown. Well, that's what I'm trying to think, because there's Jewish people, there's all kinds of mixtures from Mount Vernon. They were from Mount Vernon, not Nana Brown. She is from right around Boston and Cape Verde, and there were a lot of people that Walter's people were. I mean, you're too dark. I mean, people, you know what I mean? A lot of them were being saying mixed stuff, you know. I mean, they can't really tell you because they had so much mixture in there, and nobody was paying much attention to it. We weren't. No, they weren't.
Right.
No, we weren't. Yeah. So anyway, that's. But wait a minute, Walter, to ask for my hand in marriage, my mother was so scared to death. Oh Lord, please, Lucy, the oldest one, please talk to her, ask her about doing something, because your father's going to have such a fit and so forth and so on, which was true. He probably would, but Walter went in there, sat down with him, and you said, "How do you do, Mr. Price?" and so forth, and you sat, and you did, "Oh yeah," and you better know something. You better be educated or talk educated, So he spoke with him, and I was the only one of the family that he stood up with. My father at the wedding. He in Nana Brown's little small house, and he was there and stood up. Yeah, he respected Walter. You betcha. Yeah. So,
and then Walter, did he go into the army then?
He went to yeah.
Was it World War II?
Yes, yeah. We went World War II.
Oh.
Yeah, just 1942, 40. Yeah.
Oh, so was he stationed overseas? Or?
He went to. He was in the quartermasters. And then, he was like running the damn place, and so he went over to New Guinea. He was in the quartermasters and stuff. Yeah, New Guinea, yeah. Yeah. He got athlete's feet, and stuff, yeah. He was over there, oh yeah. And, but he was a knowledgeable person, Walter, yeah. So, what else?
So then, what did you do for a living?
Well, me?
Yeah.
Just took care of Adrian.
So you had a daughter, Adrian.
Oh, yeah. And
what is?
Yeah, and
so
then...
Didn't you have a career?
Well, not yet.
Oh,
not yet. This is when, Walter sent me back money and stuff, and I was saving money because he gambled too. And he was a good gambler.
He used to do the numbers?
No.
Oh,
shooting crap.
Oh.
And stuff. No, but he was soldiers.
Did he make money doing that?
That's how I have 89 Roofman Street.
Oh.
That's how I got the house.
So you bought 89 Roofman Street
before I was 20. You got that right.
You still have the same house.
That's right.
How much did it cost back then?
$7,500.
Wow. I wonder how.
And I've had it over 60 some years. You see.
That's great.
And that's as I said.
So how much do you think that house is worth today?
About $600,000.
Wow, that's a good investment.
Oh,
$7,000 to $600,000.
Wait 60 years.
So
it's a three-family house. So you had on the second floor, you rented it out to your mother lived there for free, of course. We were there. Ida, and then on the first floor you had another couple.
Irish tenant. We had 3 people when I first moved there. Irish on the first floor, us on the middle floor, and Jewish family on the top floor.
So when you moved to Roxbury, was it 80% Jewish?
No, yeah, it was. We had next door. We were the only 2 family.
Only blacks on the family.
Blacks or colored or whatever you want to call it. Yeah,
exactly.
And Duke Ellington.
And was it called Roxbury back then?
It was called Roxbury. Now they call it Dorchester. Right at that edge. But they had. Harry Connie, you've heard of Harry Connie, he played with his mother and father lived next door from him. They were the first ones that lived next door. So
they were the first blacks.
Yeah. So Harry, when he came, Duke Ellington came, his son came, and played Pekino on the second floor, and my middle sister, the second sister, oh, she was cute as she could be, Eleanor. Oh, and she
was
could
a
sing.
singer.
Oh, yes, and poor Lucy, she had to, because at that time she was petite and cute, and my older sister was built like some of the bigger bone, and so they just thought that Eleanor could sing, and Duke, she could sing. And she was a protege, as far as the people wanting to see her. And, just so natural, yeah. And so...
Did she do any records?
No, not...
Oh.
Yeah, but see, even with me, with dancing, they didn't have all that going at that time, you know, of the records. We didn't have all the television and all that stuff. So but where was I? See?
You were talking about Mr. Carney.
Yeah, Mrs. Carney and stuff. Yeah. Oh, they were Harry Carney, who used to play saxophone for
that was his mother?
Yeah, his mother and father. And they were nice as they could be.
I remember Miss Carney.
Yeah, and they used to paint, he used to paint that fence, to keep it up so nice and
so
neat.
beautiful
Oh,
back then.
yes, yeah. And so, as I said, yeah, we had a Mr. McCrae, who worked with, I got before, told me about the 4 people in the post office who did that. It was Mr. McCrae. He was smart as heck. He used to buy and sell property. And that was way back then, you know. And so we ended up renting from him on Dale Street. That's how, you know, when I brought Adrian home. And we were on Dale. So Mr. McCrae was ready to sell. So we had a nice, beautiful place there. And so he talked, you know, about, well, my father didn't want to buy. So anyway, Walter was sending me this money home, and I was young and saving all the money. God, he had $7,500 when he came back in those days. Yeah.
That was a lot of money.
A lot of money. And I had
That's how you bought the house?
You betcha. And, but besides Mr. McCrae, he was the one, I didn't know nothing. But Mr. McCrae knew the houses. What did I know about buying and selling houses? But he would look and stuff. So he went and he picked out the house and showed it to me. And he said, you always go after it rains, you know, and look at this up at the top floor and in the basement. So up until just about now, I haven't had that much water in my basement. So just recently, after 60-some years. But he knew. So, and then besides that, I think I didn't have, I just had 5,000. So he loaned me the rest of the money, Mr. McCrae.
Wow.
And that's how we got that house. But I was shoveling coal and all that stuff when we got it, because we didn't have all the
kind
water.
of furnace?
Yeah, we didn't have all the well, not
Central,
in those days.
right.
No, not central heating
Right.
and stuff, and the oil, the boilers and the stove that you sit around, you know, keep warm, because it wasn't a central heating and all. But when it did, I was shoveling coal and stuff, banking the fires and all that stuff. Yeah, it was interesting. So that's how, you know, we got up there before everybody else, and
then how did other people start moving into the neighborhood?
Because they scared people, you know, it was mostly all Jewish, but the people,
So the
you know,
Jewish people got scared?
The people who were selling property and stuff, you say, well, you know how they are, you know, they saw a couple.
So even though you were so educated and so
Yeah,
sophisticated.
but they just scare people, just like they do today, or they did. They will scare you about, there's going to be in Wellesley, there's going to be a black neighborhood, or there's going to be, you know,
So what
too
year
many.
do you think it was turned into a predominantly black neighborhood? Was it in the 50s or 60s?
Oh, yeah, no, it's way in the 60s.
In the 60s when
Oh,
it became
yeah.
predominantly
Oh,
black?
yeah, but, well, not partly, because, you know, what's his name, Martin Luther King and stuff, right down the street, the church, right there. Yeah, well, yes, yeah, and they'd walk with, oh, yes, they used to come to you know, to the churches there, yeah.
Which one?
The 12th Baptist, yeah,
Martin.
yeah.
Now, didn't you tell me that you knew Malcolm X's good friend?
Who? Malcolm X, I knew.
Oh,
Malcolm X used to come to my house.
Oh, okay. So tell me about that.
Well, he
Was it Malcolm X or was it his friend?
Well, I knew his friend too.
Okay, the one who in the movie Spike Lee plays his friend.
Oh yeah, well I knew his friend too. Yeah, they were from Boston.
Did they rent a room from you, or they would just?
Oh, that's down. That was down in Martha's Vineyard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, they had their own place. Yeah, no. But Malcolm X, you see, we're talking about Wally's Paradise and Wally's. You see, and all those people, they used to go there.
Now, what is
and-
Wally's Paradise?
Well, Wally's is,
Is it a jazz place?
yeah, jazz. That's,
Jazz.
Oh, you betcha.
Did they have dancing there too?
Yeah, they
Okay,
had some
dancing.
dancing too, but Wally was from Jamaica, from around Jamaica, and he wasn't very intelligent. No, he was not. No, he wasn't. But I mean, in fact, he was kind of crude. I mean, because when I saw him recently,
He was
which
a
I got a
business
picture,
person.
you betcha, he knew how to play those numbers and stuff, you know. And well, the people were people playing them, so you know, yeah.
So he opened up this big club.
He opened a
It was
club,
called
but it was
Wally's
a-
Paradise.
Wally's Paradise, but he had all the people.
What kind of people would you see there?
People who love jazz and stuff. And then we had, and you never heard of Sammy Lewis and stuff? We had
Who were your favorite jazz players back then?
oh gosh. Well, Dizzy and all that stuff. We used to sit on the floor and because that's when the new style music was coming out then. And all the musicians that I knew and stuff would sit on the floor, and they were very respectful for us. Now I realize they were smoking pot outside someplace, but they were very respectful. They didn't do it because they were in my mother's house too, you know. And Mama loved it, music, and we had an old upright piano that was Lucy's. That was the first piano. We all had to learn how to play piano, and I wasn't very good at it, you know. But all of us, we had to have the education of the art, you know, and singing and playing the piano and stuff. So they'd come after Wally's, where we, you know, that's before I worked at the Apollo, and we'd all sit around and all the musicians, you know, and
They'd come to your house?
yeah, sure,
Okay.
afterwards, yeah.
We'd have like an after party.
Yeah, I mean, we'd go to but they were very respectful. They was just listening to music, really. They were not,
Right.
and Mama would say, oh, that's it. And then we'd listen to the music and stuff, and then we'd have people sitting at the piano, this old upright piano. As I said, Duke Ellington, not him, he didn't come, but all the musicians who were after drinking and stuff would come by, and then we'd have some food and stuff, and we had lots of fun. Clean, and it was clean.
Clean fun. So
It
right.
was clean fun.
That's
It
good.
really was.
So when
I mean,
did you start performing?
Well, as I said at Wally's,
Did you when did you have your first actual performance? Do you remember that?
no, it was the Arabic Five.
When you were at Arabic Club.
Well, we just did that. We were working.
And you dressed kind of like belly dancers.
Oh
didn't you?
yeah, we were. Well, this was when the war was on, and we used to go up with what's his name now? There's it's the big. He has a big place now with Florence Jones. You know, Snooki. Remember my friend? Yeah, she just passed too. But anyway, I can't. It was right there. The art place where we all met, because the man there, oh God, he's famous too. He used to play for Dartmouth, and he was educated and stuff. So the Shaw House, that's where we used to go. So the Shaw House, Florence's mother, they used to, because there were so many, people in the service, and they didn't particularly want the young men who came, who were educated or whatever, wanted to meet some nice, cute-looking black girls, women. So she put on, had us, we were all chaperoned and everything, and bussed up here and bussed up there, and so they'd have dances, and we were all escorted and stuff, all very proper. And my husband didn't mind me going. He was wonderful. I'd like to dance and just and stuff. So we would entertain them, and no hanky panky, no stuff going on and stuff. So when we came back, they would introduce us, and that's how we met these young men. And because Stan, what was his name? Stan Getz, big they'd have big dances, the Roseland, where all the big bands would come and stuff. So they would have the young black fellas, and they didn't have anybody, they didn't feel comfortable with the other part, other people. So that's how they would have the
started
dances.
with the Arabic 5, and then
then
you met your other partner, which was
we would.
What was his name?
Willie Spencer.
Willie Spencer.
Yeah.
So you started tap dancing with him.
The reason, see, what's her name? Sylvia was in it, and there was about 4 or 5 of us in this. So we decided we're going to put on a little show for the fellas, and stuff. So we would call us, the Arabic 5, and we would do different dances and stuff. And they were so thrilled. We thought we were hot stuff, They were just glad to see anybody, I guess. But anyway, so we worked at Wally's, and it was just who was left. Your God, what is it, the one that made you the teddy bear and stuff? Estelle. Yeah, Estelle. So there was just the 2 of us. Now, I'm tall, and Estelle is kind of tall, and my sister Eleanor, of course, she, I'm the youngest one. Yeah. And so somebody come and talk out of place to us, and she'd get right down there. Don't you, because she'd been in show business long. Don't you dare talk to my sister like that. It was so funny. Anyway, so how it happened then, that Spencer started dancing, why we started dancing together, is because he was from Ocala, Florida. The Florida aristocrats. He was going to play over in New York at the Apollo. Well, his partner, where we danced sitting down doing, his partner used to lift him up in his mouth. He had a little platform, Spencer did, and would be dancing, and he would be holding him in his mouth like this.
Oh my God,
while
he's dancing on top of the
dancing on top.
Ooh. I don't know how he did that.
And so like Spencer said, when they used to do circuses down in Ocala around
sounds
there.
like the circus.
They said, the fancy circus. So when he first started, his neck was just, he told me what size it was, but by the time he finished, he would pick him up, and he would have on his tail, and have him up in his mouth, and he's doing his routine. And then the fellow was married to a woman who picked up a chair and swung it around. Yeah, so they were the
they were a good team.
You betcha. So what happened? The Florida aristocrats. So what happened before they had going over to New York? Over the Harlem River, I think there was something that instead of it wasn't a big fence there as they have now, or something like that, And so the fellow got drowned in the Harlem River.
Oh.
He was going to make a turn, and there was no fence there or whatever.
Oh, and he
drove off and got drowned in the.
Oh, so then
that's how. So then Spencer was back in Boston. And he knew it, so he was dancing by himself. So then Spencer was a tap dance. Oh, sure, we were sitting down tapping. He was standing up tapping. So Spencer, he put on a show for we weren't making much money now.
Right.
Come on, So and then
but
they
you
had
elaborate costumes.
Oh, you betcha!
It looked like we spent thousands of dollars.
I know it because I was
sewing
sewing
it. Putting on beads.
You betcha!
I saw
Betcha! Oh gosh!
So when did you do? You remember your first show with Spencer? About when that was? What year that was?
Not exactly.
What did you call yourself?
We called just Willie and Winnie, I think.
Winnie and Willie. You did.
Yeah. Well, later it was the Aristocrats of Rhythm.
Oh, Winnie and Willie, the Aristocrats of Rhythm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because then he went because he was knowledgeable. I couldn't have had the patience
But he
to
was
go
good
to
at booking the show.
Yeah, he went
He was the
downtown.
manager too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he went downtown.
So where did you do most of your shows? Were they all over?
All around, yeah, but all around Boston. See, they had Peggy Tarbox.
Did you perform in white clubs too? Most of them? Oh.
What, we didn't have the...
Oh, we didn't have black clubs back then, I'm sorry.
No, not, well, I mean, that's what I'm saying, except Wally's.
So
most of them
So
were all
all
white.
the audience was mostly white except
You
for
got
Wally's.
that, okay.
So now I
But
get
what
it.
happens, because we had the hi-hat on the other corner, and then we had, with the guy with the
They didn't have
hi-hat.
segregation in Boston.
They sure tried
Oh,
to.
they tried
You
to.
betcha.
But they didn't
you
have the
betcha,
legal.
Yeah, it wasn't legal, but they sure would want to know what you were coming in there for.
Right.
I ended
If
up
you were-
dancing there and all
Right.
that stuff. But they had the Savoy, Sabby Lewis was there with his group and stuff. It worked all over. And we had the, it was, but let me tell you this. As I said, Peggy Tarba. See, then you had to go into the group of people who you weren't in the union and stuff like that. This was out of the union.
You mean colored people couldn't
No,
get in the union?
white or whatever.
Oh.
You get it. White could be white or black or colored in the union, but you had to be professional. We
Oh.
weren't that good. You had to become good.
Oh.
Now you see who's on television late at night. We work with them all the time. The comedian. What's the comedian? Jay Leno.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Jay Leno. He worked at all the clubs with us, MC and so forth. It ended up being that there was a circuit of clubs that you would work.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and so it would be, you'd work up in all the theaters, Manchester and all that. It was like, that was called the Bosch circuit.
Mm-hmm.
And we would work all those places, and most of them were white. It was just like, we had about 2 or 3 black colored acts that were a team. So because now Spencer, he'd go down there. I went down there once and I said, I can't come down here again because my temperament is not good. The guy said to him, well, Spencer, we just had a team, a black team. There was only about 3 of them around here. And they were just, what about a white act? No, a black act. We just had a black act in there. We don't want to put another black act in there and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when the shows were not doing good, boy, they put us in there, put in a whole black show, and the club would come back. Yeah, lively. So, well, I was glad about Spencer said, well, what about a white act following a white act? So that was good,
Mm-hmm.
because he said we didn't want a black act. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, he was good. He knew how to deal with them. And we had different that had people who were agents,
Mm-hmm.
and they got the shows together. But it was most of the time, it was like in Springfield, Mass, Rhode Island, and which it was good because see, we didn't have to leave. We'd close at 1 o'clock at night, and our rehearsal time was probably like 7 at night. Mm-hmm. So it only took us, even though it took a little longer to get to Providence and all that, all that. We'd be on our way back at 12
So
o'clock.
did you ever perform down south?
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I call South, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It wasn't very good, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My mother didn't think I'd last down there.
Oh, really? Why?
Yeah,
Because of your personality? You're too
you got that right. I don't believe you telling me there's a
No.
white fountain and there's a black,
Could you tell the story about that when you were on the ship?
Oh, yeah. Well, we worked, as I said, this is after the Apollo and the Royal Theater and the and the Howard Theater, which we worked with Charlie Barnett. You'd have heard of Charlie, Charlie Barnett, the band. Oh, we worked, that was a good experience for me to work at the Apollo with Charlie Barnett because he's a classy man, and besides that, he drove up, his mother came to visit, and she drove up in a big limousine, couldn't be nicer, and to get out. They had some money. Oh boy, and that band knew how to play. Oh, did they know how to play? And we worked with them there, the Apollo, and we worked at the Howard. And Charlie Barnett was not, when we went down to, that's in Washington, they were prejudiced there, and stuff, but he ate where we ate, and he, and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, well, what was your question? I can go on and on. What was your, about
when you went down south.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And you were on the boat.
Yeah,
and
so, but as I said, and this was afterwards, the agent down there saw us and wanted us to go to Norfolk, Virginia, to be in a black show there, which was a place where they had, was a gambling place. There was a black man and a white guy. They had it, and it was illegal up in the woods, and they had people looking to see, you know, and we had all kinds of people coming in. Well, to go to Norfolk, Virginia, well, I was the only one, because most of them, Spencer was from Ocala, and there was a singer, she was from, had dealings with, you know, in the South, and this other person, all of them had dealings in the South, so they didn't feel uncomfortable that on this boat that we had to go over to the other side, that it had one fountain, one toilet, you know, it said black and white, or colored, or whatever. And so I know my personality, and I wasn't brought up from my father or stuff, and to be a shrinking violet or not know who I am and who we are, and we were important and so forth. So you know, as my mother said, "Oh, Winnie, I don't know if you can do that." I said, "Well, I'll see," because I didn't plan to mix up with the people. So I'm sitting down in the bottom of the boat. Well, now I got to go to the toilet. Everybody is upstairs, just getting the breeze blowing in them and everything. So I get up. Mine's over there. Yeah. So yeah, I get up, and I have to go. So they're up there having a good time, jolly time. And they see me coming out of the toilet, honey. It says white, because I ain't going looking for no colored. I knew I wasn't going to do that. Came out the white one, and they said, "Oh, Winnie." I said, "Oh, Winnie." So I said, "Now I got to have a drink of water." Went over and they were going to have to string me up or whatever. I wasn't paying any attention, and I had the water, and I had the stuff, and nobody said nothing.
Good.
Nobody said nothing. But you see, they had built it up in the
Right.
fear.
Right,
Of,
the fear.
so the fear.
Just like it took someone like Rosa Parks.
Yeah.
Where she,
yeah.
right. So,
Yeah, it brought it up in the fear
Right.
of you know, you can't go here, you can't go there. And most of the people, there'd probably be one person that would say something.
Yeah, you didn't buy into the fear.
No,
That's good.
no. I had to go to the toilet, and I was going where the, you know. And nobody said anything who was
Right.
in there. Nobody said anything. And when I took a drink of water, nobody said anything. It was like, now I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to have them say something. So it worked out. And then, of course, as I said, but the thing was, we all had to be they did not open up their hotels and stuff to us. See, just like Lena Horne, when Lena Horne was
Tell me
down
about
there.
when you met Lena Horne.
Oh, yeah.
Where did she perform with you?
Oh, she didn't perform with me.
Oh.
She was now, Charlie Barnett was crazy about her.
Mm-hmm.
No, but she didn't perform with me.
Mm-hmm.
It was Diane Carroll.
Right.
And,
Yeah, you have some nice pictures
Oh,
of her.
yeah, and Gregory Hines, you've heard of Gregory Hines?
Oh, yes.
A little bit. Gregory Hines, and Dad.
There were two boys,
two
young
boys. Yeah,
You have
yeah.
pictures of
There
them
were
when
two-
they were
yeah.
about 12.
That's right.
12, and one's
we
doing
had-
a split.
Oh yeah, we were.
Yeah, he
We
passed
had-
away not too long ago,
Yeah,
didn't he?
that was
He
terrible.
wasn't that old.
No, he's only 50 something.
Yeah.
And he was aggressive. Very,
He must have been.
Oh yeah, he was very smart and very knowledgeable. You know,
At age
I drew-
12.
Yeah,
Mhm.
of our friend, my grandson.
Oh.
Yeah, he was. I mean, into everything. Talked to everybody, and so it was him, Diane Carroll, and Diane Carroll was sharp as she wanted to be, small, and so I asked her. I said, "Well, what size are you?" And she said, "Oh, about a 6 or so." I said, "My shoe's bigger than yours," you know what I mean? Oh, she was very charming. And then we had, I think Nipsey Russell was the MC on there. You've heard of Nipsey
yeah.
Russell. And he was on all through he was on 125th Street at the theater there. He was a classy person. So the show, it just so happened that the show we had was classy. I mean, there were people who were, you know, and we had Slappy White, and he wasn't on that particular show. But
Did you ever meet Sammy Davis?
oh
Yeah, oh, you
yes,
did.
oh yeah, he came oh yeah.
He would come.
Yeah, he came when we were at the burlesque, in Boston.
What's the burlesque?
Burlesque is where the girls strip off.
Oh, but they don't take everything off. Like
Yeah,
today.
well, they,
It's
not as much,
a little
yeah.
bit more classic.
Yeah, well, this was at the circuit of the burlesque circuit there at Flowery Square. And one had
Is
a
this in
snake.
New York?
In Boston.
Oh, in Boston.
In Boston, yeah, that's no more. And they had a circuit there. Oh, yeah. And they had one that had a snake and she'd pull it all, around. But they had to have somebody out there to make sure that the police came, because that when they did come, the girls didn't take everything off off their tops,
Right.
Oh yeah, they had. Oh, people were there like mad. Oh yeah. So what was my point now? Yeah.
I was just asking about the people that you know. You said Sammy Davis.
Oh, sure. So he came down to see the show. He was working at the Barbara Walters' father, the Latin Quarter. He was working at Barbara Walters' father at the Latin Quarter
So Barbara
in
Walters,
Boston.
the reporter.
That's right.
Oh,
Her
okay.
father owned the Latin Quarter in Boston.
Oh, did she? Oh, I didn't
Yeah, and he did.
Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, no, well, that's true. So, when he came down to see the show, he came with a few people, and he invited the whole show to the Latin Quarter for dinner in the show.
Why was it called the Latin Quarter?
Because that's what the man who owned the club wanted to call it.
Oh, okay.
What's the name?
Oh,
His
okay.
father wanted to call it. It was the Latin Quarter, a special fancy thing, yeah. So he owned that. Barbara Walters can tell you that, yeah. And so we went there for dinner, and he was with his father and his uncle, and we had a great dinner. And Spencer had talked to him because he knew him from down south, Yeah, he couldn't have been nicer. Oh yes, oh sure, yeah. He was very. He loved show people.
Who did?
Sammy Davis.
Oh, of course.
Oh
He-
yeah,
of course.
he was very friendly with people.
What about the other? Who were the other two he always performed with? Sammy Davis and
what?
was it Sinatra or?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
see, he
Did
was
you meet
always
him
with-
also?
No, I didn't.
Did we-
No,
oh.
I didn't meet them. I didn't meet them.
Ever get to meet Mom's Beverly?
Oh yes, at the ball. Oh yes, oh yeah. She was fun. Yeah, and Spencer, because he was older than me too, and he was from down the circuit down in the south, that he knew all those people. Yeah. Oh yeah, and
What about Dorothy Dandridge?
no, I didn't know
Oh.
her. No, I didn't know her. Yeah, but what's the other person that he worked with? Butterbeans and Susie. Yeah,
Okay.
well, you would know. Yeah, Butterbeans and Susie. Yeah, they were an old group. They were funny, and they said Mom's Baby. Yeah, all those people. Oh, but see, Schiffman owned the club, and his son just helped out. Well, what would happen if you went there for the first time? What would happen is the man locked the doors, and you couldn't get out until they had let everybody know whether they were going to be there. Some people had to go, and some people didn't. So once you got accepted there, I went back several times. We were back several times. We were like, you always have a fast opening, and the stars were the closing. So we were the fast dance act. You see. So they'd always have a quick.
So you would be the opening, and
And then the stars.
Who would be
whoever
the star?
Whoever's the star.
Okay.
Or and then we had
What
like,
did they pay back then to be opening act? Just curious.
I don't quite remember. Well, it wasn't much. I guess 100 something.
100 something.
Yeah.
That's not too bad back then.
Well, no, but it wasn't much. Yeah, but and then of course with me doing so I'd sit backstage and I'd do all my beading and all my
You
stuff.
made all your own
Yeah,
costumes.
all my own costumes, so it would sparkle. And we changed every show, at the theaters. We were sharp as we wanted to be. And then, when you see those girls out there in Las Vegas with the beads on their stockings and stuff, well, honey, I started that. Because I didn't have enough money to keep changing my net stockings, you know what I mean? So when they'd get holes in them, it's nothing worse than to see sewed up
Right.
net stockings. So I would sew sequins on them,
Right.
beads. So I was one of the first ones to do that.
Oh.
Yep.
So you started
Yeah,
the sequence.
because you
Little did
betcha.
they know it was because you had a run in your stocking.
Because it wasn't a run. They
Oh,
were
they
net,
were- yeah,
and
right.
they were supposed to sew them up. That's the worst thing, you know.
Mhm.
And well, you'd have to see the pictures, yeah, with the nets, you know, and stuff. Oh boy, I'm telling you. So you know, you get a corset that was tight, and sew sequins on it and stuff, and make it look nice and oh boy,
Wow.
yeah. But you had to be able to do something yourself
You had to be
because
creative.
creative. Yeah, and of course Lucy and them started to help me, but they really didn't know what I felt myself. Yeah,
Mhm.
so yeah, but and then ended up with Spencer with the sequin jacket, you know, to match my dress.
Ah,
Oh
beautiful.
boy,
That
yeah,
was
we
way
was
before
popular.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, you
started
betcha,
around.
you betcha, yeah. And we were all up in Canada and worked all up through there, the Beaumont Club there and stuff. Oh boy.
Did you like performing in Canada?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they couldn't
What
have
was
been
the
nicer.
clientele in Canada like? What were they?
Well, we had some the Beaumont, the big club there was a big club that had people from all over.
All over
you
the
know,
world?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
fun. Okay.
Yeah, and then we had a more exclusive club,
Mhm.
yeah, that had, well, they were from all over too, you
Mhm.
know, yeah, so, yeah, I did like Canada, of course, and when it snowed there, you were about as high as this house walking
Right.
on the street, because it
Right.
was, yeah, it was cold. Yeah, and a lot of French speaking, because her father, you know, chased me around, he caught me up there, and he would speak well.
When did he
yeah.
start chasing you around? Did it take a few years?
Yeah, oh gosh, yeah, he would, you know, but you see, and the thing was, with me, he could afford to have us go to a real good hotel and have big dinners. I refused to do that because I was only making $100 and some, you know? So I said, he stayed where I stayed for $16 a night or whatever day, you know, or something like that, because I refused,
Well, let's go down
Yeah.
to Martha's Vineyard, when you started going to Martha's Vineyard with my father. Tell a little bit about the history of Martha's Vineyard. Why did they call it a black man's paradise?
Well, because now the people where we stayed, there was a lot of people went there to they were hired out. They were working for rich people, rich Caucasian
That's how it
people.
started?
There was most of them.
Was this in the 30s or 40s?
Oh, it must have been in
Yeah.
because Clayton Powell.
Adam Clayton Powell?
Yeah, he stayed with Hazel Scott. You know, they stayed at the Sheriff Cottages. Yeah.
Was that black owned?
Yes,
Oh.
it is still. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and Miriam Walker. Well, of course, you were small. That's
Mhm.
right. Miriam Walker. They had it, and when we went there, they had servants and everything to help you.
So
And
how
of
did
course,
the blacks-
wait a minute, we had that's where we had a interview. We had everybody to meet us, your father and me, yeah,
Right.
and the group, yeah. And so we had a big party there, and so
You had a lot of parties there.
oh yeah, I know.
But
we
I want
did.
to know the history. When did blacks start really building houses and having wealth on the island?
When a lot of them came from out, New York or different places like that, and stayed longer. Yeah, because as I said, the Sheriff was one of the first places where they had a lot of the guy that went around with Clinton was there. What's his name? The black guy that we used to hang out with Clinton from the island. He was at our party.
That's Senator Brooks.
Oh no.
No.
Oh no, but we knew him, of course, yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean from New York. In fact, anyway, he's quite famous, yeah, and he didn't.
So you like to have a lot of parties on Martha's Vineyard?
Well, that's what they did. You've seen the show about the inkwell and all that stuff. What happened? They used to after they come down, and most of them had some money, and they would have go to the beach and so forth, and afterwards they'd
What's
go
the
to a
inkwell?
party.
Not
That's a inkwell is where all the black people, colored people used to go
Oh,
to the beach.
The beach, so they called it the inkwell.
Yeah, they got stories about that. Yeah, and stuff, and that's
Yeah,
where
there was
they
a
would
movie
meet.
about the inkwell.
Yeah. So the fellow who just wrote something about Martha's Vineyard. In fact, he
Right,
used
I
to
saw
play
it on
with
TV.
him.
Mhm.
Well, used to go there.
Yeah, I saw
right
it on a
there.
PBS special, but I didn't remember his name.
No,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, but most of the people would hang together, would be in a group, and who wanted to do something. They weren't ignorant people, they could sit and discuss things, and that's what they did. That's what a lot of them did. Yeah, so as I said, Clayton Powell and all those people afterwards, they'd go to somebody's house and hang out and have parties and stuff, till then they started buying, then they started buying property there, yeah, and it didn't cost much, because I remember this girl was a friend of Miriam Walker's, her mother owned the place, and so the sheriff, so she said, I can't believe it. It's gone. The money's gone up. She says, all I am. She was on the beach, going to Edgartown, and she says, my house is up on 2 stilts, and they want to give me this money, all this money. You see, it started going up and up and up. Now you get like $500,000 for some of that property, for a little property. Because you know what? What's her name? Next door to
Mrs.
Nancy,
Devine.
yeah.
Right.
For that little, woo, please, about $3,500. I mean, $350,000. I mean, where can we?
Like $20,000.
Oh God, it was sad. Because even the one when she bought the house, and she was saying they're getting the refrigerator in the kitchen. She says they must have built the refrigerator around the kitchen. I mean, around the walls.
Was that
Very small? Yeah. It was, yeah. But I'm just saying that.
So who were your friends on Martha's Vineyard? Is there anyone you want to talk about?
No, there's no. Well, I mean, some of the people
What
are
about
gone.
Doris Jackson?
Doris Jackson, yeah,
Weren't
I did.
weren't they
Yeah,
in
there
show
was.
business?
No. Her sister used to. She was one of them to put on the shows there for the Twin Cottages. Yeah, Doris Jackson, and she used to really have the shows go on there. And anyway, but they were part of. She's gone, and then Cutie, she's gone. And she was a painter, artist, and all that stuff. And there's not many people left. Marie Allen is about the only one. She's the head of the NAACP now, and she said she's not going to do it again. She's younger than me, about 10 years or whatever. But it's a lot of work, and she's.
So there are not many people left of that group that used to part, right?
No, there's a few, but not, no. They're all the show business people and the things that were going on there. No, but they've got plenty going on. Now, I mean, people your age and stuff, the daughters, they come and they buy those houses up on the hills there and stuff, and they have somebody, they bring their nannies with them and all that stuff, you know what I mean? But as far as my group, no, they're gone.
Well, we have about 7 minutes left in the hour. Beverly, just some other things that she's seen over the 80 years. We were talking about, the new technology, just some things that might be funny to your mother that she thought she would never see, just as we start to move toward the close here.
Well, you still live at 89 Ruthven Street.
Still there, yeah, over 60 years, yeah, that's all changed, yeah. Franklin Park, the animals are still
So
going.
what is the neighborhood like now?
It's okay.
It's okay?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's okay, yeah. They're building up all around. No, but it's okay because I still belong to one of the groups, that make sure things stay up.
Oh, okay. So
it's
pretty safe.
the guy. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. They don't. There are people who concerned about their property and their things and fixing up. Yeah, yeah. So.
Do you have a computer? Are you,
Oh, me?
No,
No.
no. no.
Downstairs does.
Oh, my nephew does.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Oh God, he's into everything. Yeah, he'll be on television. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Just a quick couple snapshots. What do you think of some of the modern day politics, like who's in office, and compared to people who were running in your day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
What do you
this
think
is
about Bush?
I don't like him. I do not like him. I don't even like to look at him. That's the truth. I don't like to look at him. That's my
Right,
feeling. I don't like him. I'm sorry Clinton got in such a stupid positioned himself.
Right.
Yeah. But that's what I got to find out when I call. I was hoping to find out there's a black fella running for Democratic governor to run against somebody we have running, this woman
In Boston?
Oh. Yeah, and I
Has
wonder
there ever
if she,
been a black mayor?
no. He would be a governor,
Oh, governor. Okay.
and I like Mayor Menino. I like him. You can't quite understand everything he says. I mean, but he's good. He's a good, honest person, and the whole group we have. In South Boston and all that, where they didn't want the kids to go to school there.
Busing,
And
I
oh,
remember
that
that.
was horrible. Horrible. It was hard to believe. Hard to believe. And as
Yeah, I
my
was
friend.
lucky.
Yeah.
I went to Beaver Country Day. I
Yeah.
went to private school, but I remember
Oh yeah.
the signs, coloreds go home.
Yeah. Oh
and,
yeah. That was terrible.
Yeah,
And
it
as my
wasn't good.
friend Barbara
Ware.
Yeah, she worked for Senator Owens, and so people would come to the office there, and she was a great singer and everything, and then we grew up together, and so they'd come with some complaint. These are colored people coming with some complaint, and so she'd say, "Now, do you vote?" And if they said no, she says, "We'll go and register and then
Right.
come back."
That's good.
Yeah, because you can't do anything without being part of it and getting involved, And so that's what she would say. Yeah.
What do you think of the new rap music?
Oh, geez.
I know we listened to some of that in Dante's car.
Yeah. Well, no. If I can't understand it, I don't like it.
Right.
And I don't because my grandson, he
Wow.
writes and he does stuff. But if he comes up, I don't want to hear that. I'm not going to hear it. But I mean, he's talented, and he's been writing since he was 6 years old. But no, if I can't, and he will tell her son, Dante, he will say, "Oh, I don't want you listening to that." No,
To the gangster.
The gangster rap. Yeah, some stuff. No, that's no. I tried. I have it on so that I can understand, but some of them they just present it too ignorantly, and I don't like it. But if they say it, that I can understand, because there's some good, but
right.
oh no.
We have about 2 minutes to go. What is something you just never expected to see? I mean, we ended up with TV. We went to the moon. Just something, growing up in the 30s, 40s. Something just humor me. Something you just never thought you'd see. That's happened.
I can't tell you. I wish it was something educational that I could tell you about, that I've never seen, but I don't. Yeah, but see, I'm so open and have been involved with so many different parts of the scenes that nothing really has surprised me. That's because I've been all around, and I was up to Hudson Bay, and we worked in all those places where they would just, and if I had been smart, I would have come back with some money, because all those fellas way up near Hudson Bay, they would come to the club. There was a couple of clubs, and they would pay. All they do, they work up there about 5 or 6 months, come back loaded, and they would gamble it away and see the shows, or the girls would get it. Oh, yeah. So I wasn't smart, but I mean, I could have bought some gold. gold and gone, done something with some mind, and I didn't know anything about it. But
Well, Beverly, we're down to the last minute. Anything you want to ask your mother in closing, or to take us out? Closing remarks.
well, all I can
So
say.
you just had your teeth done,
Yeah.
brand new teeth,
Yeah,
from
beautiful.
Dr. Lynn Locklear, who's on the cover of Black Enterprise.
Yes.
And so you said you have 10
10 more
good-
years.
10
Oh,
more
yeah.
years
Good
on the
years.
planet.
Good.
So do you have any plans for those 10 years?
No, actually, just to do what I feel like doing.
Okay.
No, because I've struggled with the house down Martha's Vineyard, the place in Boston, this stuff, and having to do this and that. No, I don't.
You just
I
want to do what you want
Yeah,
to do.
because-
And what is that you would like to do? What's your happy,
Just to learn how to relax.
learn how to relax?
Learn how to relax, and
Okay.
she's giving me some good ideas, you know.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm too busy, you know. Oh, I gotta be, you know. I'm
Learn
too
how to
no.
relax.
Learn
And what
how
about
to.
your shell jewelry?
Oh yeah, well, I've got all kinds of
Sell
stuff.
more
I don't.
shell jewelry?
Well, that's what Marie wants me to do.
Well, you have
'cause
so much of it. It would be
Well, that's
nice.
right. Oh yeah. Well, I've got to calm down and stuff. Oh, I've got all kinds of shells, you know, stuff. So.
So you're going to learn how to meditate?
Yes, I got
Okay,
to.
relax.
I've got to be quiet. I've got to learn because things that when you wake up, they're going to be the same, and I've got to. That's what I need
So
to
just
do.
enjoy
yeah.
your last 10 years.
I,
right,
yeah,
relax.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
good.
And watch, go to Dante's graduation. And,
Ah, right.
yeah, yeah. 5 more years, I'm going to that.
Well, it's been quite enjoyable, and
Yeah, well,
Thank
it's
you.
enjoyable.
It's in
I'm
my
so
home.
glad to see her relax more because I didn't know her this way, quite this way. She's more, yeah, you're better. You're better. You're more relaxed.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
All of this holistic medicine really
Well, it
works.
has, yeah, it
Right.
works for her.
Taking the
It really-
herbs and doing the
Yes,
yoga
it works,
and
it
the
works,
exercise.
it works
Yeah, it really
good for
works.
her.
Yeah.
Yes, it really does, yeah. It's wonderful. So I'm convinced,
Yeah.
yeah, that there's something to it.
Right.
Well, thank you for
Okay,
doing this
okay,
in my home. I
Sonia.
feel
Oh,
especially honored, and
Yeah.
it's beautiful listening to you.
And thank you for
Oh,
allowing
I
us to
just-
use your home
just
as
thoroughly
a
enjoyed it,
as a
and-
stage.
This was a surprise to me.
Oh,
So we'll
Thank you
get the
so
good
much.
pictures and the pictures and put it with, yeah.
okay. Well, thanks a lot.
And we'll
Thank you.
slide in some of the
Thank you.
pictures. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah.